big question is who becomes the next flag bearer of the new patriotic party come 2028 in the general elections. That race is still on. The party is going to choose the next leader hopefully next year in January. The forms, the nomination forms have officially been opened now, and the various candidates or aspirants are moving in to pick their forms. Kobby Amoah has done that. Then latest to do it is Agyapong. Clearly a big force in this race. He is a big force in this race. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is also expected to pick it, and a few other individuals who have shown interest in becoming the party flag bearer will be doing so. Now, Nsidowome is an aide to Agyapong. He is also a law lecturer, and in fact, he's a lawyer. Kobby Amoah. Kobby, good to have you. Good morning. And
good
welcome
morning.
to the show.
Good to have you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Good to see you. Good to see you. How is Mr. Agyapong doing?
He's doing great. I saw him yesterday. As he's always in high spirits as usual, and we were talking about this whole process. Had a few meetings, and I mean, very optimistic about the future.
Tell me about the euphoria yesterday when he went to pick the forms.
Yes. So yesterday, we actually had to hire to go and pick the forms.
And that was surprising. It's like, oh, this is Agyapong.
Because
how did this happen?
Because there's so many groups fighting about who to pick the forms for him. Okay. We had a couple of market women who are also party folks from Kumasi who wanted to pick forms for him. We had members of parliament who said, no, we are going to pick forms for him first. And the funniest thing was around 5 p.m., Prince Appiah Dankwa, he's a TESCON president of the University of Ghana. He called me that there's a group called Students for Ken made up of TESCON presidents and student leaders all around the country. They also wanted to go and pick forms for the man. And in fact, he said, oh, lawyer, it's me raising 57,000. I'm trying to you don't say you but it's kind of a I mean, saying that they are still trying to raise enough funds to trying to reach 100,000 cities to pick forms for him. So the a couple of members of parliament came together, raised the funds, and they decided to pick the forms for him.
So the nomination forms for Agyapong was financed by some members of parliament.
Yes, they financed and they went there. I mean, I can mention a few names. Okay. For strategic reasons, we don't want to bring all our arsenals now.
You've seen some names also.
Honorable Charles Forson was there, okay. Honorable Kweku Kwate, Honorable Lawrence Agent Sam, the Honorable MP for Offenso. A couple of them, actually.
We've seen some, former MPs and current MPs whose names have surfaced. Can you speak to that? Charles Osei Sebe, Abeno Osei-Asari, former Deputy Finance Minister, he has, in fact, even stated it clearly, but in terms of Abeno Osei and Charles Osei Sebe,
the names will shock you.
These are stalwarts of the new patriotic
You know something?
Can you confirm these people are in your camp?
The names will shock you. It's not, you see, Kennedy, as a strategy, it's not everyone that we also want to be in the limelight right from the beginning. Because, I mean, for campaign strategic purposes, there are some who will come first, others will show up at the right times. But trust me, the team is working. I'm very happy that we keep on mentioning all these names. Like I must tell you, the last time Kennedy ran, even though he was able to secure 38%, he had only one member of parliament following him. That was Honorable Cynthia Morrison from the Central Region. Apart from Honorable Cynthia Morrison, and Kennedy himself was an MP, none of the 137 MPs supported him. So now, if we can mention the names of these many MPs to the extent that so many MPs, about 50 of them, decide to come up with contributions to go and buy forms for him, it shows that they are very good days. I mean,
when you look at, say, as at the time the December, the elections ended, from then to now, if you want to estimate how the support base of Agyapong has grown, in percentage-wise, how will you fix it? Just in estimates.
I mean, maybe...
You say you've grown from what? From what to what?
So the last election, I mean, I also don't want us to get solely headed to say that, okay, we had 38% the last time and all 38% of the people are still with him. Then maybe one or two have left. But looking at the enormous number, I think we're probably hitting twice the numbers.
Wow.
For instance, the last election...
We're talking about almost 70 to 8% now.
Yes, maybe. Because, for instance, the last election, from the initial stages, I was supporting Alan Chemate. I came in only after this past delegates conference, and even I wasn't much involved. I just voted for Honorable Kennedy. Our spokesperson, Kwesi Kwateng, who was at the Ministry of Education, was not with Honorable Kennedy, he is in now. Kweku Kwate, even a lot of the people who are now spearheading the campaign were not there. So there's a new breath, there's fresh energy in his team. So many polling. We go to my constituency, for instance. My constituency on the election day, almost all the leaders in the constituency, that's the Foricom constituency, were supporting the vice president. And even with that, Honorable Kennedy had 497 votes. And with all the machinations, with all the leaders, electoral area coordinators, constituency executives supporting the vice president, he had 604 votes. So just about 100 difference, but we had almost 500. Now, almost all these leaders are now with Honorable Kennedy. So you realize that there's a new breath, there's fresh energy. A lot of the people at the top, a lot of people who were political stalwarts were with him. Truth be told, last time, if you look at Honorable Kennedy's team, they have much of the people in the top hierarchy of the party or top political people supporting him. It was basically run with his friends, businessmen, and their grassroots.
And do you think that has impacted him? Because if you look at him when he contested first and you look at him now, his language, his posturing, do you think you, along with other people coming around him, has impacted and transformed him to some extent?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in politics, one thing about Kennedy is that he learns every day. He's not a perfect human being. He never claims to be perfect. He may have some flaws, as every human has, and he always admits it. And at every point in time, he's willing to learn. So there are some mistakes that he may have made in the past. There are certain things that may not have been perfect, depending on how the perspective that you come from. But all this is part of the learning process. And as you're saying, you can see some changes. And it's also because of certain advice that he has received and self-reflection on things that may have
talking about
not
advice and talking about message that appears to be going down well with the party base. There's been concerns raised about some of your messaging, particularly the religious card. And they say that your main opponent, which is the former vice president, there's been concerns that you've been raising the religious card and the impact of it on elections. And, we've had even a key member of the Kennedy camp, the former, Deputy Finance Minister, Sticker, forgotten this, the MP for Nshiaso, also make that case. And they say that you are engaged in this religious, you're creating the religious division. How are you, first of all, is this a message you believe in?
Okay. And the first thing I would like to say is that Kennedy himself is neither a religious bigot nor a tribal bigot. Kennedy is someone who embraces all, and looking at even his trajectory. Kennedy, a lot of times he calls himself a Waala boy. He calls himself a Waala boy because he was conceived in Wa. If you know his story, his mom was pregnant in Wa, and she then had to take a break to come back to her hometown to give birth to him because of, when sometimes pregnancy comes with some complications. So he himself was conceived in Wa, so he calls himself a Waala boy. He has, for the past 20 years, every time it's the Muslim holidays, he does a lot of donations to the Muslim community at a time where he had no presidential ambition. In fact, he did this a couple of times, and I think that even the chief imam conferred on him, I don't know if it was jokingly or officially, but called him Alhaji Osman, who is, I think it depicts one Muslim...
esteemed Muslim,
Yes, esteemed Muslim
who Mecca and etc.
No, Alhaji Osman, I think he's someone who gives a lot. So I think it's some sort of philanthropy. Philanthropy. So he does a lot of philanthropic work. He himself, he prides himself with the fact that he has 4 children from the Volta region. So, and from being with him, everything about him shows that he is not a bigot. And I've heard a lot of these concerns about people and all. However, I think that as a people, we should also be able to distinguish between religious bigotry and analysis of voter behavior. These are 2 different things. The bigotry stems from the fact that you may not be able, may not be in support of another group, you may look down upon another group, you may believe another group may not be fit to lead and all. However, there's also what we call voter behavior that we can't run away from. In every election, we saw MPP, we need 1 North now, 1 South now. Why do we do that? Sometimes, the last election, or even previous, sometimes you hear Dr. Baumia say, there's 1 Bible in the Jubilee House, let's add a Quran. Why do you think such comments are made? Because identity politics sometimes is something that you may not be able to take away from. When you are contesting for an election and you come from a particular group, a particular sect, the general belief and usually what happens is that people there, because of some level of identity, some level of familiarism, end up on the mass voting for you.
But the research has also shown, and in fact, as far as this very election is concerned, to the effect that you ask Ghanaians and they say, in fact, Global Info Analytics pointed it out. They said they don't care what faith you have. They just
not true.
Care about.
Not true. I can point you to Global Info. I don't know if you have. We can. I can point you to Musa Dankwa's research on this, where in fact he says I think about 20%.
And even
of
from
Ghanaians,
the assets of the MPP research they did. And in fact, from the committee, they said they spoke.
Have you seen the reports?
Well, from the people who did the report.
Have you seen the reports?
The people who did the report.
Have you seen the reports?
The people who did.
Who did the report and told you? Have you heard Michael Quay say that?
Well, we've had people who have had access to the report.
Who has had access to the report?
We've had, what do you call it, the former majority leader, Che Mensa
Bonsu.
We've had
according to
Agyapong himself states that. We've had a few other stalwarts of the party indicates that.
So first of all, I think that the Michael Quay report it's very clear that from what we've heard from the Michael Quay report that the findings of the Michael Quay report have not been made public, and even these personalities who you are talking about, from what the general
they haven't seen it, and you think they have
not been given the reports.
You think they are making up?
And trust me, these reports are made by human beings. There's not everything that we can say on air. The reports are made by human beings, and we have people who have also cited the reports, which may even have something which is contrary. So a report both of you have not seen.
The report is likely
even from
likely skewed,
even from Michael Quay himself. Michael Quay's team himself, that this report has not been made public. I know someone who was at a National Council meeting which was deemed to be the only time that this report was given to the party people, and it was just a summary report that was presented, and the whole factor of religion was not even mentioned.
So you think this
I can point you to two different research. One, I maybe just when this break, I can just show it to you. We can even show it to your people. The report by the Afrobarometer report clearly shows that in Ghana, religion and tribal politics play a key role in our elections. Also, and this was done in October 2024, a few months to the election. Also, Global Info Analytics also came up with their research through their exit polls and shows that about 10% of Ghanaian voters vote keenly based on the religion of the candidates. And in fact, in Ashanti region, it was more. In just Ashanti region alone, it was 32% of Ghanaian voters. So if we are going from voter behavior from a pure political science, political analysis perspective, religion and politics
so it does
and
play a
tribe,
part, but in terms
a huge part.
10%.
10%, of course.
If you have
MPP had 10%.
No, but if you have 90%, say 90% of the people say, well, I don't care about it, and you have 10%. Okay, comparatively.
So let's do analysis.
Just based on the data, comparatively, you agree that 90%...
That is wrong analysis. Wrong analysis, why? Let's look at our Ghanaian voter landscape. Apart from this, the very poor defeats the MPP had, there's just ended the elections. Our elections have been very close. 2008, President Mills won with over 23,000 voters. Yeah. So if you think that 10% of the voters, if 10% of the voters had decided not to vote for him based on such inclination, would he have won the election? 2016, even in 2016, 10% would have made a huge impact. So in most of our elections, 10% would have made a huge impact.
So the 10% now, is significant in winning the elections?
Of course, very significant. Now, even let's look at the last election. If MPP had 10% more, Dr. Bawumia would have been president now. But ended up with just about 41%.
But that would be but that would be the argument can stand in the case that 10%.
You think all is going one way?
Exactly.
Yes, which is true. But for you, which I agree. But for you to say 10% is insignificant, it's a big challenge here. So, and I've showed you from 2008 election.
So I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. But I mean, moving on, what is the plan for the Kennedy camp? Because now they picked the form. When is it expected to return it? And I'm sure, although the picking was done quietly, the return is most likely going to be a fanfare, most definitely, and possibly followed by some rally of a sort. Is that the plan?
That I'm not going to share here.
But do you have an idea when he's going to?
I'm not going to. I'm not going
but
to.
Do you have an idea when he's going to present?
We are still. The form requires that there's a requirement that we take the form around the country.
Okay.
We need to get signatures from each constituency. Each region, So we are going to take the form around the country as a team.
We're in August now. August, September.
We have by September to submit it anyway. So as a team, we are going to quickly start doing those rounds, get people to sign, make sure we fill it and get everything done well. Then the right time, we are going to decide when to submit.
On the national level, though, if you want to, raise it to the national level, you're looking at the performance of the NDC government at the moment in terms of the economy, appreciation of the city, the price of things, price have relatively stabilized. Of course, the cocoa pricing has come in there, a bit of bad luck for them in that regard. But on a general level, if you look at the major indicators, there's a certain sense that things are going in the right direction. If this continues to 2028, you believe that Agyapong will be the right person to take this?
That will even make our argument stronger. You see, the country looks a bit stable now, which, to be very honest, I don't really think that it's entirely the doing of the government in power. I am into sovereign debt. So after doing every IMF recovery program, from the midpoint to the end, IMF, you're actually on a lot of support when it comes to technical capacity, when it comes to the structural reforms and all. So the country attained some level of stability. And I think that is what is being evidenced now. There's a lot of stability in the system. Yes, ordinary Ghanaian will compare. So previously things were a bit bad, now things look better.
Yeah. And
this government also came with a lot of goodwill. I think it's something that we can't dispute. So there's that stability. So to be able to win this election, you need a candidate who is seen as a situational leader, who is seen as someone who can disrupt this system and bring what Ghanaians are ideally looking for. That is Kennedy.
If things continue the way they are going now,
it's just stable. It is not. There's nothing. There's no exponential.
But you get the sense that that's what Ghanaians want. They want the system to be disrupted. Do you get the sense
Ghanaians, as of now, as I'm saying, if nothing changes, yes, Ghanaians may now be in comparison, but we are not where we want to be. The biggest challenge here in Ghana, as of now, I believe, is jobs. A lot of people, no matter how we may think the economy is stable and all, a lot of people are so unemployed. I'm quite young. I finished the university in 2017. I have colleagues who I finished university with who, as of now, have never worked, have never been in any stable or any gainful employment of their own.
They've heard that message time and time again.
Pardon?
They've heard that message time and time again. So the job message
that's why we need someone who is a pragmatic leader, someone who himself has demonstrated that he can create jobs. You see, Ghanaians are also tired of the regular kind of politician who come with a lot of flowery language, a lot of nice presentations. I'll create jobs. I have seen this there. I have seen this there. But what have you done in your own capacity to show that when given the job, you can create a job? So it's not just about the talk now.
The dynamics of doing it as an individual in your private space clearly is different from on a national level, right? Exactly,
but that's the point I'm making. It's about who, first of all, has demonstrated. Kennedy himself has created over 7,000 jobs as a businessman. Now, the vision of Kennedy is not just about government creating jobs. If you want proper job creation as has been done, and also looking at the philosophy of MPP, looking at property, private sector-led developments, he understands what it takes to create jobs in the private sector.
He has something to show.
He has something to show. And he knows what the private sector needs to thrive in order to create jobs. So Kennedy is someone who will be best positioned to know that if I am president, I need to give this kind of support to the private sector to create jobs. Even in my own situation.
We just have to wrap up, but I just want to pick your thoughts on this before we wrap up there. Global Info Analytics just recently released some research they did on the possible candidate for the NDC. At the moment, Honorable Attoforson is leading in that park, followed by Aaron Idrisu, followed by Asidio Nketia, then Aaron Idrisu is third, and you see Julius Deborah in there. Is there any of them that you are fancying, hoping might be selected by the NDC?
Kennedy will beat all of them. even if they all come together as the candidates.
Kennedy will beat Aruna if they present Aruna Idrisu.
As I said, the critical issue now is jobs. Kennedy is the one who has demonstrated that he knows how to create jobs for the people. None of them, all of them to combine, both from the people contesting him in NDC, contesting him in MPP.
I said combined, is a strong force.
None of them have been able to create the number of jobs that Kennedy have.
That's a force is doing with the economy.
Even if you bring all of them together. And as I'm telling you, yes, it may look like he's forcing, but as I said, from every recovery program, now we have 3,000 economists from IMF supporting our economy. There's a lot of structural implementation. So there'll be that kind of stability. Yes, Ghanaians will be a bit excited.
When IMF leaves, we might begin to see...
That is when we will know his true strength. That is, I'm not saying that he may know he's not doing well. I'm saying that is when we will get to see his true strength. But as I'm saying, what Ghanaians are looking for is jobs. If prices are stable or even prices are down, they don't have a job. Even affording what is seen to be cheap is difficult. You don't have that capacity to afford it.
We are going to follow the Kennedy camp closely. I'm sure, Kobby, we're going to be in constant touch to get more update from you on what you want to do. We're wishing you the very best in your campaign. We'll see when you present it somewhere in September, right? You're going to do it all somewhere in September, you mentioned.
I said maybe probably later this month.
Okay, great. So they said they're going to be touring the country to get the signatures and get it done. The Kennedy camp is up and moving. Let's see who is next to pick up the forms. It's going to be Baumia. It's going to be a fanfare or another quiet picking of the forms.